All right guys, so we're going to run through some a variation for an ab crunch, laying abdominal crunch. One of the main drawbacks of a standard abdominal crunch where you're just lying supine on the floor is, as we've seen earlier, we need to be in a position of spinal extension to fully lengthen the guys through where his spinal flexor says abdominal muscles. So if we're lying flat on the floor, we can't achieve that unless I told Ryan to extend his spine, but it's still probably not going to achieve that to the same degree because we're going to be impeded by the floor. Whereas if we have something like this, which can actually facilitate that increased range through the spine, we've assessed Ryan earlier, so we know that this is actually a pretty safe position to put his spine into. Some people might not have this degree of spinal extension available to them. Like their neutral spine might actually be, you know, what some would consider neutral for others, but it might be their full extension. So that's something you'll need to assess yourself. But for Ryan, this is safe, and we know that now he's in a near enough fully lengthened position through his abdominal musculature. And what he's going to think about doing there is then engaging well through his abs and contracting. And as we did through the assessment, he's thinking about pulling the bottom of his sternum close to his pelvis. One of the potential drawbacks from this movement is that there's nothing actually stopping his lower body moving that way. So if you're training a client, you can use a foam roller, another mat like this, to apply pressure to this area to actually immobilize that and stop that from essentially wanting to move away, which is going to prevent full shortening of these guys. So he's going to think, we're applying pressure here, Ryan's contracting hard and flexing through that spine well, getting into that fully shortened position and really cueing spinal flexion. He's not just performing a sit-up here. So if he was performing a sit-up without modifying this position of his spine into flexion, he would really just be keeping these spinal flexors in a somewhat isometric position where what we're thinking about is really fully shortening them and then getting into that position of full extension as he gets across there. For those that don't have a pad like this that can facilitate that extra range of extension, you can simply use a mat to some degree, which is arguably going to permit more variation than that mat itself, because we can modify the thickness of a mat to match someone's available range of spinal extension. For instance, if we had someone who had more than that mat permits, we could even increase the range on it by placing this mat over it and actually giving us a greater range of extension as well. But for those that don't have quite as much as Ryan, we could reduce that by using a mat. But that's essentially what we want to think about, is just making sure we're able to get into that fully extended position through these movements, and then making sure that they're training full flexion of the spine, as opposed to just doing a sit-up and engaging it isometrically.